Hey everybody, this is Dark Side Elite coming back with you another video. Been trying to get a lot of stuff done in my own personal space here. Um, the situation with my channel is I'm gonna be slowing myself down a little bit more on a lot of the videos. I'll try to get as many videos as I can out. I'll do possibly like 3 videos a day and then spread them out within the week, so you guys know that I'm keeping up with the content. There's a couple of things that's been going on lately with the DCEU and also the MCU, positive and even negative. Um, for the DC right now, I'm hearing a lot of whispers and talks that right now Darkseid is going to be in the New Gods, and Ava DuVernay, I believe, confirmed it. Well, no, no, kind of duh on that. You kind of want to have no, kind of you want to have Darkseid a part of the New Gods. He is the central bad guy of the whole thing. To have him not in there, that's like literally having a Batman movie with no Alfred. And I mean, it's Batman in Gotham, not Bruce Wayne traveling across the world. It's Batman in Gotham with no Alfred. Um, that's kind of bad. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Um, they're talking about an explosive Suicide Squad. Chris Wong, I'll put his link down below to his video. I haven't watched it yet. Um, I've been very busy, and I'm gonna be pretty busy today, so I'll try to get as many videos out as I possibly can. I'll look into this and I'll make another video as soon as I can, possibly on Sunday, because I'm off on Sunday. Um, Now another thing is talking about that Warner Media could expand DC. We don't know in what way. There could be a lot of speculations, but I'll look into that too. Um, me personally, um, this is how I see it. I wouldn't expand DC until they get a solid movie base. Um, that's my personal opinion. I'm not saying that they can't do it. I'm just saying that the best way to do it is to create a solid movie base, get people involved in the movies, and then slowly mix in. I would say the streaming service. I would say that is part of the DCEU. I would say that that's part of another universe. If the individuals from the CW want to be involved, which I think they should. I mean, a lot of them have good acting chops. And yes, I even add the people from Arrow. I add Stephen Amell. I add Emily Beck Rickards. I add David Ramsey. They have the chops to do a good movie with a good director and a good script. Um, Grant Gustin and all of them, they all can do it. I mean, we know Jesse L can do it, and we know that Danielle Panabaker can do it because she's been in movies for a long time. So we know that they have the chops to do it. Um, but I think that they're holding back because they don't want to separate their audiences. They want their audiences to want to see some of these characters on TV or movies. I think that is the most linear thing to think of now. I think the best way for them as a unit, and also as one of the main leaders of pop culture, because regardless or not, I mean, everyone can say, well, Disney beat I'm sorry, Marvel beat DC in pop culture. No, they haven't. If you still go to third world countries, you'll still see them wearing Superman, Batman, a Wonder Woman, maybe an Aquaman, maybe a Flash T-shirt. You know, they're starting to now hear about Marvel characters. So DC is still in the minds of a lot of third world countries and kids in those countries. So I highly doubt that they aren't as popular as everyone thinks that they are. Everyone wants Marvel to be better than DC, but that's not going to be the case. To really hammer it home, and also if they really do it right, they need a person other than Walter Hamada, that someone there that knows the comic books, understands what the fan base wants, and is not and isn't scared to tell the higher ups, no, this isn't gonna work. We need to have it this way, because I'll give it up for Kevin Feige. He actually kept it. He kept to his to what he wanted. He kept to his vision, and of course he changed a lot of things according to the media, and he changed a lot of things according to what's popular. but he kept to his vision. He told Bob Igor and all the rest of them, no, 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 no. Let me keep to this vision. It's gonna work. Who knows? Bob Igor might have wanted this or wanted that, and they're the ones that's giving Marvel the money. So they need someone like that. I'm not saying exactly Kevin Feige. I personally believe Kevin Feige is a used car salesman. He will tell anybody what they want to hear. He's a yes man, and he's a complete fake. They need someone there that knows comics. I'm not saying Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is a yes man. I don't want that. I want someone that actually will stand up for DC and go in there and tell Toby Emmerich and even Ann Coulter that, hey, no, 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 this is gonna work. We need to make a staple point. We need to do something that Marvel hasn't done yet. We need to show that this expansive universe is bigger than anything we've ever done. And the best way I can think of is create the movies, the Joker. I'm sorry, Todd Phillips' Joker, that needs to be completely separate from the DCEU. But it is part of the DCEU. That is a separate universe. You can do Birds of Prey as a separate universe. That could be a gigantic what if. What if Batman died in the Justice League, in Snyder's Justice League, quote unquote, his Justice League, and there is no Batman in Gotham. So basically, the disappearing of Batman in the Birds of Prey is basically Batman's death, and now there is no Batman in Gotham, and we don't know about Nightwing, we don't know about Dick Grayson, we don't know about Jason Todd, we don't know about Tim Drake, and we definitely don't know if there's going to be a Damian Wayne. So they can easily do those things and say, hey, this is what was going on. We just didn't think of the overall picture. And I think that someone needs to go in there and look at what everyone else is doing and construct a universe around each and every one of the directors' movies. So just in case if someone wants to do a dark, let's say when Ava DuVernay's New Gods, let's say it's a fantastic film. Let's say she did a phenomenal job. She didn't go onto a tangent. She didn't put in her political beliefs. She just did the story the way it was originally constructed to be, and she kept honor to Jack Kirby's vision of the New Gods, and it does a very good job. Now, if I was a betting person, I would say that WB should just go, okay, this should be what we should have as the New Gods. We're not changing it. Don't change anything. And then figure out how they're going to do the Justice League. How they're going to have this Superman go against this version of Darkseid. Because as bright as you have Superman. Now, imagine if you have that Christopher Reeve version of Superman. In Zack Snyder's universe, that Superman would be completely, he wouldn't make sense. That's the reason why you have to make a Superman that fits into that type of universe, a hopeless universe that needs that level of hope. And having a dark side that is the almost the complete polar opposite to the hope and aspiration of Superman is, you need that type of a dark side. Now, if Avery Renee creates a dark side that is very, very similar to the comic book version of Darkseid, that is very Machiavellian, that is sinister, dark, disturbing. He thinks 15 steps ahead. He plans. If you do that type of a Darkseid, you gotta have a Superman that is the polar opposite to that. It's the same thing for the Joker and Batman. The darker you make Batman, the darker you have to make the Joker. That's the way it always has been in comics, and that's the way I've always seen it. When you had Batman as the Adam West Batman, was the Joker the dark version of the Joker? No, he was the happy disposition Joker that just threw pranks at people and occasionally killed somebody. Maybe out of the blue, he did something that was considered very dark for that type of the age of comics. But if you look at Joker over the years, he's gotten darker and darker and darker and darker. If you look at Batman, he got darker and darker and darker and darker. So you have to make Joker just as dark as Batman, so it always shows that they are two sides of the same coin. That's the way it's always been, and that's how I've always seen it. Ever since the 80s and in the 90s, Joker has always gotten darker when Batman got darker. Um, Same thing goes for the Flash. The brighter you make the Flash, the darker you have to make Eobard Thawne. You have to make him a polar opposite to whoever Barry Allen is. He cannot be two sides of the same coin with Barry because he hates Barry and Barry hates him. There's not real animosity between Batman and Joker that people think that there is. They're just two sides of the same coin. Basically, if Batman ever loses it, he's gonna become like the Joker. We've seen it with the Batman Who Laughs. He's gonna be just he'll be worse than the Joker if Batman ever goes dark. Joker looks at Batman as basically he's just picking on him to prove that you're just like your criminals. You're just like the people that you beat up in alleyways. There's no difference between you and us, and I'm gonna prove it. And that's always been his thing. That's always been the underline of Joker. He's always been picking on Batman to make him break his rules. And that is the foundation that I believe that the relationship between Batman and Joker. Now, if you do that with Darkseid and Superman, it will make a lot of sense because a lot of people do not truly understand the not the animosity of Superman and Darkseid. It's literally Superman looking at Darkseid and going, "You are a god, and you're lording over everybody as a despot." But to him, it's very strange if you go to Apocalypse, everybody reveres him. Everybody reveres Darkseid. But his elite, they plot, they scheme, they try to backstab each other to get to get to Darkseid and prove themselves to Darkseid, while others are trying to dethrone him. But the thing is that he's just like Emperor Palpatine. He wants them to do that. He wants to see them at that cutting edge because that makes them able for them to take down their enemies. That is how Darkseid always thinks. He knows that any one of them could try to take his throne, but they're not powerful enough to do it. He knows this, but he wants them to want to do it because that's easy for him to aim the gun and shoot them at his enemies. And I think that that's what people, again, don't really look at the underlying of Darkseid's character. You don't want to make Darkseid the type of character like Thanos. He's not like Thanos in Marvel, and he's not like Thanos even in the MCU. You don't want to make him like that. That is the wrong interpretation of Darkseid's character. This guy looks at everything and goes, I'm gonna bring order to this chaotic universe. People are killing each other. You have you have people eating out of garbage cans and such like that. Even though if you look at Apocalypse, people are even worse. But the thing is, they're doing it because they revere who he is. He is a god, and that's what it is. Thanos in the MCU, Thanos just wants to make everyone. He wants to fix the universe. He wants to fix the universe by wiping out half the population, and that will be his greatest legacy, that he fixed the universe. Darkseid doesn't give a crap about his legacy. He knows who he is. He's a god. He'll be forever. So that's why you got to make Darkseid, in my personal opinion, you got to make Darkseid very dark. You got to make him very masterful planner, a very strategic person, but he is ruthless. He is ruthless beyond imaginings, and it shows. It has to show. So if you're going to expand DC, I would say bring in fix the DCEU, and I don't mean like you got to fix it. What I mean is fix it in a way that everyone can go, "Oh, okay, I don't like this movie, but I'll like this movie," or I kind of like this movie, but I like this movie. I like how Jeff Johns explained it in his talk about before the Justice League came out, that the way you need to construct the movies is just like how if you go into a comic book store, everyone might not like Aquaman, and that's perfectly fine. Not everyone will like Wonder Woman. Not everyone will like how Batman is. But at least you're going in and you're seeing what these are about, and then going, okay, well, I don't kind of like that, but I like this movie, or I like this movie. You're making niche movies, and that's fine. But when the Justice League comes out, everyone's going to want to watch how the Justice League is, even though if you don't like the Batman movie or the Wonder Woman movie or this. But you cannot make movies to pander to everybody. You cannot do that. You're gonna make a sloppy version of Batman that was in the movie, and he's gonna keep going in the same direction. No, I wouldn't do that. What I would do is you gotta fit Batman into the universe that he's in. You gotta fit Aquaman in the universe that he's in. So if you're gonna do a Justice League, everyone's gotta be the type of personality they were, but when they come together, they are an unbeatables team. So That's what makes different personalities. But when you have everybody acting almost the same exact way, it doesn't feel like a different movie. It feels like the same movie we've always seen, and everyone's acting the same exact way. When you have, um, um, let's say Jason Momoa is gonna put a little bit more stoicness into his Aquaman, which makes sense because Aquaman is a stoic character. He's very regal because he is the king of the seven seas. Well, that's gonna be kind of conflicting with with Batman, who's a stoic character himself because he puts the weight of his city on his shoulders and he feels that it's his responsibility, but he doesn't see himself as a regal person. He comes from a regal background, but he's not royal. He's not blood royalty. So you're gonna have a conflicting personality there. That's what we all know from Batman and Aquaman's relationship. Same goes for Superman. You see Superman being the hopeful Boy Scout all the time, but in his movies he's being challenged of his humanity every single time that you aren't human. You're an alien. You don't belong here. It makes a lot of sense, but then all of a sudden you're going to completely change his personality into the hopeful Boy Scout that everyone loves. You're like, wait a minute, that's so completely different than what we've seen before in the other movies. So if he's going to be like Henry Cavill's character, you got to have him that way, but he's slowly evolving. He's slowly changing because he's changing the world around him. Same goes for Batman, same goes for Wonder Woman, same goes for The Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Supergirl, it doesn't matter, etc. They're all changing. But you cannot have them the same exact way um, in each movie, and all of a sudden they're completely different in one movie because you got to have them fit into the mold of how the director wants it. No, they have to fit into the mold of what the story needs them to be, but they have to be their different personalities to have that personality conflict, to have that personality butting heads. But when the S hits the fan, they will unite, and that's what makes us want to read these comics. One of the greatest things we saw in the Justice League, in the first Justice League of the New 52, was um was when Aquaman came out of the ocean. Batman told him, "Dude, whoever the hell you are, it doesn't matter. You have to do this." And Aquaman grabbed him by the throat and told him, "I don't need to listen to you. You are a gnat to me." And you're like, whoa. Everybody's like, whoa. Superman went, what the hell? So everybody was shocked because Batman's trying to tell everybody, hey, you got to listen to me. This is how we got to get it done. Aquaman's like, I'm not hearing you. Who the heck are you to me? I'm the king of the seven seas. You all need to listen to me. He tried to put himself as the leader of the Justice League. When Batman's trying to say, hey, listen to me. Let's get this done, and then we'll figure everything out later. But Aquaman's trying to put himself into the spotlight because he is the king of the seven seas. He is the true royalty of the world right now. The only person that may be able to talk him out of it is maybe Wonder Woman, but it doesn't matter at this point. Wonder Woman doesn't care about that. She just wants to take out this enemy and get rid of him. So those are the things that I want to see. I want to see those conflicts. We kind of saw that in Justice League. But the thing was is that it felt so out there because that's not what I believe Zack Snyder wanted. I didn't believe that he wanted Batman to be so, in a way, so beta that he's talking to Aquaman like he's unsure of who the heck he is. This is Batman. He knows this dude could talk to fish. He knows he talks to fish. He's not going to sit there and go, so you talk to fish? Like, no, he doesn't do that. He doesn't seem like he's unsure of anything. He's always sure. He's Batman. That's what threw that off for me. And they're all talking to each other like they've been friends for like 10, 20 years. I'm like, no, these people don't know each other very well. I mean, Batman just met Wonder Woman. They're starting to talk to each other. She has an attraction for him. He has attraction for her, but we don't know if they're gonna pursue that. She sees him as this man has been fighting against bad guys for a very long time. She's probably heard of the Batman. She's most likely have heard of the Batman. She's probably followed his exploits. This man is a hero probably in her eyes, and to see him old and he's slow, but he's actually still doing it. And she's trying to tell him, you're gonna die. And he's like, I could barely do it as it is right now. So he's kind of unsure of himself. That's their relationship. That's between Bruce and Diana, but not Bruce and Diana of right now. Bruce and Diana would not be this open. Batman would be very shut off from everybody, and she's trying to open him up. That should be their whole relationship throughout the Justice League. She's trying to open him up, but he's like, no, because he has a wall on himself saying, one, he's at fault for killing Superman. Two, he feels that he is massively responsible for everything that's been going on lately. The world does not have Superman. Three, he's always been this way. He's always been walled off, shelled off from everybody because he feels that he doesn't need to be, he cannot be happy be, because of whatever situation that's going on for himself. We know in the comics why Batman has to mire himself in tragedy. It's what gives him his strength, it gives him his edge, it gives him his power to fight against these enemies. But we don't know about that in the DCEU because we haven't had anybody bridge on that. So, me personally, I think that if you want to expand the DC universe, you have to expand the Justice League a little bit first and then build the universe around each and every one of those movies. You can easily do it. You could bring in this the streaming service. You can say that Swamp Thing was going on, but no one's noticed any of that. It's not public. Who the heck cares? The CDC got, I mean, if you haven't watched for spoilers, if you haven't watched Swamp Thing, that's pretty contained. There's nothing in there that's making it like it's hitting massive national newses. And then on top of that, um, they can easily make that happen, but it's being whispered over the fact of Superman's death or the Justice League or whatever. Same thing goes for Titans. But we know that there's a Batman in Titans, so we can't really say that. However, it could be a different universe. And that's massive. That's an expansive thing for the Titans to do because they haven't met anything like that. We could easily do that in Doom Patrol because Doom Patrol deals with dimensions and realities and time travel. So they could be the linchpin to say, hey, there's a bigger, expansive universe, reality out there. There's different realities. They could easily do that in Doom Patrol and make it look quirky. But the thing about Doom Patrol that makes Doom Patrol different than any other show is because no matter how dark you make Doom Patrol, it's still quirky enough for it to be in the DCEU. And that's what's great about it. It doesn't, you don't need to change anything about the Doom Patrol. They could still be quirky and it would work. It would work in the DCEU. Say it goes for Titans. You could make a ruthless Robin and then realize, holy crap, this is what's going on with Robin, and it would fit in the DCEU. Here's why people are making that the memes of Ben Affleck's Batman and Brandon Thewis's Robin, his Dick Grayson. They're making those comparisons because that's how dark they made Robin, and I like that. But I do also want them to do it, but then slowly change him back into the Robin that we all know and love. I don't want Dick Grayson to end up like, and I hate to say this, I don't want him to end up like Oliver Queen from Arrow. I don't want him to always be dark. I want him to get back to, he will do some ruthless things. I want him to be closer to how he is in Young Justice. He will do a lot of things, but he's gonna throw a quip or he throws a joke. He lightens up the mood, but he also is a pretty ruthless fighter because he knows I have to take these guys down or they're gonna hurt more people. But he does it with a grin and he does it with a smile, not a sadistic sociopathic smile, but more of the, well, I mean, that's just them apples, bro. I mean, that's how I want to see that Robin. And it's not sadistic or sociopathic about it. We saw that in Young Justice. He beat them down, and then when they're sitting there looking at all the bodies on the ground, he goes, "Huh, I guess we're done." You're like, "Really, dude?" I mean, anybody could take that as a pretty whoa, like you're happy that this happened. No, he's not happy about all of it being. He's not happy about anything. He's just throwing a quip. He's throwing a quip. He's throwing a joke because that's Dick Grayson. He always does that. And what's funny is that's what Marvel was doing. Hell, that's what they were doing in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. They were doing all this weird music, and then all of a sudden everybody was dying, and it turned into a gigantic joke. So I understand that you can't have a double standard. So in my personal opinion, if they're going to expand the DCEU, um, strengthen the DCEU, strengthen the movie side first, and then I would say expand it into a gigantic DCU where all like the streaming service, the CW, whatever the animated universe, you could put them all into one gigantic universe and say that's part of the whole Infinite Earths. It's all part of the Infinite Earths. And then you could say that That what the Flash was doing was they were talking about their initial universe, but they have never mapped the multiverse. So they could say the CW, I'm sorry, they could say that the DCEU or the streaming service universes, those are basically part of the New 52. But Earth 32, Earth X, or all these other Earths, those are outside the New 52. Those are part of the Infinite Earths, because what they were doing in the Flash makes kind of contradicts itself, because if they're saying there's 52 Earths, then why are they talking about the infinite Earths? Why are they talking about Earth 90 or Earth 583? Why are they talking about these other Earths if there's only supposed to be 52 universes? So, in my personal opinion, they kind of screwed themselves a little bit. They should have just talked about the infinite universes. They just said, no, there's infinite universes out there, and it's all different, and this is what's going on. And then when they understood what was really going on, and they were going to talk about the new there's only 52 universes, that's when they can easily bring that in. They were trying to really tell really great stories with the Flash, but it actually really contradicts itself if you really look at what the heck they were doing. It's not bad, but it's also very confusing, because you're adding in so many elements into it that it just kind of gets muddled over time. So, but I'm trying not to make this too long, but the Suicide Squad, there's a lot going on. Warner Media wanting to expand the DC. I still say, in my heart of hearts, I think the best thing to do is strengthen the movie side first. Strengthen it. Get a lot of movies out. Get that strong base, and then expand it. Expand it into saying, hey, the streaming service is part of the DCEU. It's a different universe, but we're gonna try to add that in. So basically, you're having Warner Media, you're going to have them add way more to the TV side, so the streaming side, so they can be a lot better. And if they really want to get fans to really go wow, wow, you got to get you got to get Matt Ryan off of Legends and put him on his own TV show. You got to do that. You got to put Swamp Thing back on the air. You got to do season 2 of Swamp Thing. I would say Stargirl will be their, and I don't want to put it in that same camp, but I think it's gonna be their I think this is gonna be their Supergirl. I think they're gonna do a lot of politically correct stuff in there. I'm hoping not. They just keep it very simple, keep it contained, and just tell the Courtney Whitmore story. They don't need to add politically correct stuff in there. She is a girl superhero, and she should be having some teen angst, but she also needs to make sense to who the character really is. And she is from an older time, because her character is not a modern character. Her character was created back in the 40s and 50s. So I don't understand that. So I'm hoping that they do a good job on it. I'm just hoping that this is not going to be their Supergirl. I hope they don't put in so many identity politics in there that it just really hampers the show. And I also want to have people, audiences, and a lot of people, to want to watch these shows and not feel like, oh, I'm being pandered to, or my God, why am I feeling I'm getting a lecture? We don't need all that. Just give us a strong story, give us a comic book level story, and you're perfectly fine. If Swamp Thing itself is a horror tale, and they did a phenomenal job, and I don't feel they're pandering to anybody. I think Titans is not pandering to anybody. I feel Doom Patrol is not pandering to anybody. You don't need Stargirl to pander to anybody. You don't need that. Just tell good, strong stories. Period. Say CW has been doing it for years, because their TV is so pandering to everybody that they need those audiences. So they have to do it. They have to pander. Hence why Supergirl does strong identity politics all the time. That's why the Flash did identity politics by changing the race of the Wests. And I'm not saying that they changed it in a bad way. I'm just saying that no one's heard of the Black Wests. Not many people have heard that. They should have just changed them into gingers and kept Barry and Iris from being like a brother and sister thing throughout the first couple of seasons. That was kind of gross in my personal opinion, because she never looked at him as a romantic interest. She looked at him as a little brother. She treated him as a little brother, and then he it's just weird. It just felt weird. Um, Same goes for Arrow. Arrow pandered to oh my god, we all know the horror story of what happened with Arrow. I mean, you like it or not, they did. They pandered to Tumblr audiences. Hence why we had Felicity. And I'm again, and I go back to my Arrow wrap ups. I love Emily Beck Rickards. I think that she's a great actress. I think she's beautiful as hell. They just ruined her character. They ruined her character. They put such a stink on that character that no one wanted to. That I'm sorry, not no one. Not a lot of people got behind her character. So that's just that's being truthful. Um, Same goes for now the thing with Black Lightning is a little bit different. The character was created during the blaxploitation years of United States. His character was built to be a blaxploitation character. He deals with inner city life. He deals with the race relations between white people and black people and the rest of the world. That's the reason why I don't feel that they are pandering or doing identity politics, because what they talk about is the stuff that everybody should be talking about. It makes sense to his character. They're not doing identity politics. The only thing that I feel that they're not doing right is they're not having Anissa explore her sexuality a little bit more. And what I mean by exploring is they're not making it apparent that she is an African American. She's a black, not African American. She's a black lesbian who's a doctor, extremely intelligent, and they're constantly making her do the most stupidest things when she should be trying to balance her life as being a doctor. One is a doctor, two being a part-time teacher for her in her father's school, and three, the fact that she's a lesbian. She needs to have her own relationship. So I'm hoping that they do that in the next season, because that's completely lost. A lot of people who don't follow it, they're coming in to see the season. They're seeing her chase down this Asian woman and saying that, oh, I love her and this and that. And you're like, what? So you're gay? Okay, well, what the heck is going on? Like, she's always constantly being a hero. Next season, I don't want Anissa to be a hero all the time. I want her to be looking for Grace Cho and starting a relationship with her. That's what I want to see. And I'm pro about that because that's her character. They never changed it. They never changed her character. She is black. She is gay. She is a doctor, and she is an occasional psychic to her father. So she isn't a pandering character. She is a real character. She's a character that came from the comics, legitimately. So I don't, me personally, I don't understand that. I personally do not understand people getting upset about that. And I'm like, why? That's her character. The only thing I'm getting upset about is they need to not have her doing the stupidest things. She needs to be honestly looking for Grace Cho and not being a superhero. They already expanded her being a superhero. Now it's time for Jennifer to be the superhero. It's time for her to grow her character and build upon a foundation. So Anissa should not be in a suit for, I would say, maybe 3/4. I'll say a third of the season. She should not be in a suit. She should be looking for Grace, starting that relationship, growing that relationship, and then finally deciding, hey, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So for a third of the season, and you get 20, I think 13 episodes. So a third, that's, I mean, half of 13 is 7. So you're looking at maybe 3 or 4 episodes. Between 2 to 4 episodes, she's not in a suit. That's not that's fair, because you only get 13 episodes, and she's not in, and she isn't always, and she's usually about in maybe, I would say out of the 13 episodes, she's in maybe 8, between 6 to 8 episodes. Some episodes she's not in there. So I'm going, okay, well, if she's not, and having her not in the suit looking for Grace and building that character, that's great for her, because now when she has the relationship, she has a base foundation to grow her own character. Then you bring her back into the family, with her father and her sister, and you already have her sister growing herself as a superhero. Now you take her out of the being a superhero game and growing her own personal relationships, because having them balance it all out, you're wasting a lot of time because you don't have a lot of episodes. So why am I looking at 13 episodes and you're trying to build Jennifer as a superhero, as a character, and her trying to grow her own relationships. Her dad, um, Jefferson, he's growing his relationships. He has his own personal stories he has to tell. He has his own villains to deal with. He has this. He has that. So he's the main character. So you got to focus a good amount on Jefferson, and then you have Gamby, and then also now you have Anissa, and then it just there's a lot there, and then you have the mom, and then you have the villain side, and then you also have Tobias Whale. There's a lot there in 13 episodes, and you need to take sometimes you have to take Jennifer out of being a hero and grow her character and then bring back in Anissa or take Anissa out and just have it just about Jefferson. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but I don't know if there's a 100% way to do it, but you got to experiment. And also, there's nothing wrong with taking certain characters out of the limelight and building them on the side and having side stories while you're doing certain things. They did that pretty dang well with Jennifer in the first season, with her having her rebellions, and that perfectly fine, and that was good. And then you have her with my man became Painkiller, and it was good. You're like, okay, and then you have her side story, and it worked. So it was like, okay, now you're building. Now it's time to take Anissa out, build her character. So if you're gonna bring Grace Cho into the mix and have her become her relationship, which that's what happened in the comics, have her become her and those two in a relationship, you got to take her out of being a hero. So there's a lot of ways to expand the DC side, like I was saying, especially for the CW and especially for the streaming service and especially for the DCEU. So I hope that you guys take this to heart. I'm not saying that what they're doing is wrong, and I'm not saying that this is the definitive way to do it. No, there's a lot of ways you can do it. There's a lot of ways that DC can build this universe. They don't need to rush. They already have pop culture. Pop culture is DC when it comes to comic books. It's not it's not Marvel. Marvel had to do the way they did to get people to want to look at their product. But if you really look at what Marvel's been doing this whole time, they they wanted to make a huge point and get DC out of the limelight. DC does not need to rush. DC already still has the pop culture. This whole thing with Marvel is going to slowly turn down. It's going to slowly turn down. If you really look at it, Marvel has not done a lot of animated movies. DC's still doing animated movies. Um, Marvel does not have a lot of TV shows. They don't have, a lot have a superhero TV shows. They're starting to do it on Disney Plus. DC, I mean, yeah, Marvel's doing it on DC Plus. DC is doing it on their streaming service, also on CW, which is a WB label. That's their TV. They have one on Sci-Fi. They have the streaming service, like I said, and then they have their animation, which is on, I believe, Cartoon Network and all that other stuff. So they're everywhere. And if they want to, they could put adult animation on the streaming service and keep the kids stuff on like Cartoon Network or everywhere else. But Marvel's not doing that. They're trying to keep everything under the Disney label, which is Disney's right because they own the property. But DC is doing perfectly fine in pop culture. They're everywhere. They're still everywhere. It's right now the movie side is so frantic and fractured that people don't know what the heck is going on, and I think that they need to build the movie side. They need to build that movie side up so strong that when they decide to expand it out even further, everyone's gonna be like, whoa, DC's doing something Marvel couldn't do. Because at the beginning Marvel could not do it because Kevin Feige wasn't thinking the bigger picture. He was thinking of, I need to get to Thanos, I need to get to Phase 4, I need to get those other properties back, which is the Fantastic Four, and B is X-Men. He needed to get those back. DC didn't have to worry about all that because everything's under the WB and DC label. Everything is there. They don't need to expand anywhere. I'm sorry, they don't need to grab anything back that they lost. They could bring in Vertigo. They could bring in Stormwatch. They can bring in a lot of properties that they want to. They can do a if they wanted to, they could do an all Stormwatch universe and have someone pick it up, or it's all on New Line or something. They can easily do that whole universe and no one can touch it. So there's a lot of things that DC could do that Marvel really couldn't do because they had to start with they were fractured. They were all over the place. But now they're starting to get their legs, and DC now has to do something expansive, and they have to do something that will wow the audience. But that's my opinion. Like, comment, share, subscribe down below. If you guys agree with me, hey, let's talk about it. Let's see what's going on. Like I said, I will put Chris Wong's video up there about the expanding DC. I have not seen it yet, and his thoughts and what he believes. Now, I'll also do something on the TV side, talking about that a little bit more, because there's a lot of things that's going on the TV side, and what I truly think that they should be doing on the CW that could really, 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 in my honest opinion, really get fans really hyped up. Other than Crisis on Infinite Earths and the ending of Arrow, um, I think that they could really make a lot of fans really, really happy. But but hey, I hope you guys like it. Thanks for coming with me. You guys have a great day. Bye.